Hello everyone, back with bishop pattern number 3, the chain reaction. So quite colorfully named, right? So what's this about? Well, you get the bishop to d3, what happens? A chain reaction. First, you get the bishop to d3, then what happens? This pawn is blocked. When this pawn is blocked, it means this bishop can't move. When this bishop can't move, it means this rook can't move. So yeah, this is basically what the chain reaction is all about, and usually it's a bad pattern, right? You see it a lot in beginner games. Chess coaches out there, I know you're very angry about this when you see it from your students, but actually there are some rather huge exceptions, and I'll explain those just in a second. So it's usually bad because you lock in all of your pieces, but there is this Kopek system where you play c3, bishop c2, and d4, and this solves the problem of this bishop blocking in the rook, as it's able to develop after you push through with d4, and also gives this bishop keeps this very nice diagonal for the bishop and gains control over the center further with c3 as a move. The problem, of course, is that you're playing a lot of moves, right? So you waste a lot of tempos that way, but the Kopek system is a very good system against the Sicilian, and this position actually, or this pattern also arises, the structured power pattern arises also in the Grand Prix and in the Rue Lopez sometimes. So it's actually sometimes bad, sometimes good. But for beginners, I recommend you try to avoid it because it requires some finesse and some nuance. So one thing to remember is that you need to play c3 for this pattern to be a good pattern and not a bad one. And for our sample game, we'll be taking a look at a game by Marcos William de S. Ribeiro against Leandro Roverso. And here we get to see the bishop coming to d3, and white doesn't go for this c3 move, perhaps because of knight c3 among knight c5. And so they go for bishop d3, but this proves to be too slow because of the coming move, which is knight e5. You go back to b3 and boom, now d3. Very, very nice play by black here, by Leandro. Now white is not able to push through with c3 and d4. It means this bishop is stuck, it means this rook is stuck, and the bad chain reaction is taking place. So white here just recaptures or captures and tries their best here, but it's like they lose a pawn here and the position is just crumbling. They're too far behind in development, and now we get to see a nice tactic here with knight e5. The point is that taking loses immediately due to the game continuation, but the point is that what happens after queen d2, you think that after d3 check there's bishop e3, right? But after d takes e2, you sacrifice the queen, and well, here black is completely winning because of the material simply and all of the coordination. Like, look at the dark squares, how well they're controlled by black, while white not doing much, the queen. So anyway, let's take a look at the game continuation. White tried their best, but yeah, it's just an extra queen. Let's go through these moves a bit more slowly, but we'll go through all of the game more quickly because yeah, well, we're not here to learn about conversion, right? And yeah, okay, Chait is a nice final touch. Okay, so for our test, we have a game by Gatakamsky against Molnar. So we got to reach this position, bishop d3 was played, and now the question is, how would you develop? Would you go for the c3 plan we learned about, or maybe you have something else in mind? Maybe you might even go for bishop f1. I don't want to feed you any ideas, so pause the video, try to figure it out. Okay. So let's take a look at the full game to better understand what you should have gone for. And yeah, of course, it's just about c3. I was maybe trying to trick you a bit with that bishop f1 or knight c3 stuff. Actually, I didn't mention knight c3, but yeah. So yeah, now you can see like the bishop c3 and d4 were played, and the bishop coming to c2, nice diagonal. Of course, now it's kind of hemmed in. Well, not kind of, but it's hemmed in. But there's good compensation for that. And remember also that bad bishops protect good pawns. And here white has complete positional domination, a very strong structure on the queen side, very strong pawns on the queen side. And yeah, this is just the conversion from here on out, and that's it. And yeah, so this pattern actually, you should be really aware of it if you're a beginner. Don't fall into it. Try to avoid it. Try to avoid putting your bishop on d3. If you're an experienced player, well, you have all the right to test it out and see how well you can do. But yeah, always, it's all about tempos. Even if you're even if you're Magnus Carlsen, like you need to really know what you're doing when you're playing so slowly in the opening. Yeah, and with that, thanks for watching, guys, and take care.